In this lecture, we're going to be doing the work of figuring out what the user has entered, then taking that text, doing some analysis on it, figure out how many words there are, and then also even sorting amongst those words and saying, okay, this was the most used word, the next most used, all that good stuff. But the big thing that I want you to understand here is the flow of information. That's kind of been the big key of this website. I just want you to understand the basics of how Django works. So let's say someone types in some information on the homepage, like this is a cool website, something like that, okay? And they go ahead and they hit the count button. It does take us to this count page, but let's go ahead and look at the URL in a bit more detail. So it takes us to the homepage /count/, and then we have question mark full text equal to, this is a cool website. So anytime in a website URL you see the question mark, that is the beginning of parameters to the website. So it essentially allows you to enter in a lot of different things. So for example, just for fun here, let's go ahead and go to YouTube for a second. So YouTube was taking a while and it finally loaded. Here's one of my videos from my YouTube channel. If you're interested, youtube.com/zappycode. But if we go to the URL for any video on YouTube, you'll see it's youtube.com/watch, and then there's that question mark, and in this case it's saying v is equal to, and this is a unique ID specific to this video. And you'll see sometimes, depending on where you've clicked and come from, there might be more parameters up here, but any website where you see a question mark after that, you'll see some name equals to and then a value there. And there might be, you know, after someone has done like this v equal to this, they then use the ampersand to say, I have a new variable coming through. So if YouTube also wanted something like full text, it could say full text is equal to eggs or something like that, right? So this is a common practice amongst all websites that whenever you have a question mark, that's when you're going to start adding some parameters. So I just want to kind of break this down. If we go back to our home.html, right? So when we hit the form, the action is it's going to go to our count page. So that tells us why it went to our homepage /count. But then this full text equal to, like, how does that happen? Well, that is because we gave this text area the name of full text, and when we hit submit on that, it patched this onto the URL as a parameter there. So when someone enters submit on a form, it passes that information as a parameter onto the next page. So the question is then, how can we get this information here inside of our views.py so that then we can, you know, do the counting and all that good stuff? Well, it's through this request object. This request object tells us everything about the URL and even information about, you know, what computer the user's coming from, like are they running Mac, Windows, whatever. And so what we're going to do inside of here to get that information is we're going to get into request.get, and then in square brackets here, we're going to pass forward the key to a parameter that we're looking for. So in this instance, we're looking to see what full text is equal to. In this case, it should give us, this is a cool website. So we're going to copy that, come back here to our website and paste that right in. So this should give us back the text, this is a cool website. So to test out and see if this is working, let's just go ahead and set this equal to some variable. I'll give it the same name that we had assigned it before of full text. So we're going to pull this out of the URL and now put it into a variable called full text. And then let's just go ahead and print this out. And if you're wondering where it is that this print is going to show up, it's going to show up inside of the terminal here. And so let's go back and put full text inside of there. Great, we'll hit save. And now we are going to reload this page. So we'll just go ahead and simply reload. And if we come back and look at this, look at that. This is a cool website got printed out. So that's how easy it is to pull the parameters up here from the top of a URL and have access to it here inside of our views.py. So rather than print this out, I think we should go ahead and send this to the count page so that the user can actually look at that. And remember before when we passed over some information through a dictionary? Let's do that now. So I'm going to go ahead and add something else here in this render. I'm going to do a comma, and then I'm going to pass in a dictionary, and for the key, I'm going to call it full text. This is just a string. This isn't referencing this variable yet, but then we're going to say colon and then pass in the full text object. So by doing this, Then whenever I reference this full text inside of my count.html, it should give me back whatever the user entered. So if we go back here, we're going to have something up here that says something like there are 14 words in your text, and then we might do something like have the original down below. So we want to paste out that original, which in this case is the full text. So we'll just do our two curly brackets and say full text. Remember, this is how we access items inside of that dictionary that we pass to this HTML. And like I said, we might put something in front of this where we do another H1 tag and we say like original, and we'll do a little colon there and end that H1. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this. Original is kind of weird. It makes it sound like we're doing translation or something. Let's go ahead and call this like full text. Okay, or maybe your text is a better way to describe that. Okay, I keep trying to get the right wording here, but let's go ahead now and reload this page, and look at that. So it says there are 14 words. That's not accurate yet, but it says your text, and then it has this is a cool website. So if we go back to the home page and we just type in some other random things, whatever, and hit count, look at that. It shows up there for us. Now the question is, how can we do the counting? Well, a very simple way to count this, let's go back to our views, is we can take this full text and we can say full text dot split, just like that, and it's going to split up this string into a list of the words inside of there. It's going to say wherever there's a space, I'm going to consider that's breaking apart two separate words. And so we can call this something like word list. So word list is equal to this full text dot split. And so if we wanted to figure out the count, we could then pass another attribute inside of this dictionary. So we'll do a comma. Then for the key, we're going to say something like count. And then for the value, we're going to say whatever the length of word list is. So we'll go ahead and pass that in, word list, save this, and then inside of count.html, instead of saying 14, we're going to say inside of here count. So we'll go ahead and save that, reload this page, and look, there are 8 words. If we want to test to see if this is really the case, let's go ahead and clear this. Let's just do hi there, so this should only be 2 words. Boom! It says there are 2 words and your original text is hi there. So we could stop here and say, I mean, come on. We counted how many words were inside of there, right? This is a word count website, but it'd be really cool if we could go through and analyze and say, okay, what word appeared the most? Because, for example, let's go ahead and get the Gettysburg address. Thank you, Google, for fixing my horrendous spelling here. So here we go, Gettysburg address, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy this, and we'll go back and paste it here in our website. We've got to go back to the home page, paste that in, count. So cool, there's 278 words, but wouldn't it be cool to know which words appeared the most? Well, we can actually do that. So let's go back to our views.py. And this is basically the idea I think that we should follow in order to do this. So we now have word list, which is a list of all the words inside of that text. So we should basically go through each and sort of make a new dictionary that says, okay, if there's a new word that we haven't found, we're going to add it to this dictionary, and then we're going to set its value. The key is going to be the word, and then value will be number 1. And then if we ever see that word again, we'll just increment this from 1 to 2 to 3, right? Whatever, we'll go through the full list there. So we're going to need a for loop. So we'll say for word in word list. Okay, so this is going to loop through all the words inside of that list. And we're going to first check and see if it's inside of the dictionary. And I guess before we do that, then we need to create a dictionary. So we're going to create a new dictionary that I'm going to call word count dictionary. Maybe word count's a bit extreme. Let's just do word dictionary. Okay, and then in order to check and see if there's something inside of there, we're going to say if word in, we're going to pass our word dictionary then. So it's going to say, hey, if the word is inside of there already, then this is a situation where then we want to just add it to the dictionary or increase the number. So we're going to do increase here. And then the else situation of this is going to say, oh, we need to add to the dictionary. Okay, so in the add to dictionary situation, we are going to say, all right, word dictionary, and we're going to pass in the word as a key, and we're going to set that equal to the number 1. And in the increase situation, we're going to do the same thing, except instead of setting it equal to 1, we're going to do plus equals 1 because there's already a number there. We're just trying to increment it. So this hopefully should do all the counting for us, and we'll have this new word dictionary. But then the next thing that we need to do is we need to be able to turn this into a list. I mean, we could technically, for example, this is a little bit exciting. I haven't tried this before on Django, but I'm going to see if we can't print out the whole dictionary, see what happens. So let's pass in a new key, and let's just give it the name of the variable. That's usually a simple way to do this. And then we'll pass over the actual variable. And then let's have that show up inside of our count. So we'll do another h1 tag here where we'll say word count colon. Another little h1 there, and then now let's go ahead and add this word dictionary. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save this. This is a little bit experimental. I don't know if this is going to work, and we'll reload this page. And yeah, this is not working for us. It's saying word dictionary is not defined. I think we did define that, but it's the fact that we were trying to send it a dictionary. So okay, that's not going to work great for us. But what we can do is we can turn that into a list. So the way for us to do that is we're going to take this word dictionary and we're going to say dot items like that, and that essentially turns that into a list. Now we're not out of the clear yet, because now that we have this list that we're passing forward, we have to work with it inside of this count.html. We can't simply have this out there, because if we go back to the page and try and reload this, we're going to have the same issue. So what we need to do is we need to create a for loop, and the way to do this inside of an HTML file is we need to do our curly bracket, percentage sign, another percentage sign to kind of equal that all out, and we're going to say for, and then we're going to pass some variables that will hold the key and the value as we loop through, and then the name of the dictionary. So we're going to say, for example, for word comma count in, and then we're going to pass the name of this. So we'll go ahead and pass that in there, and then eventually to end this, we're going to do our curly bracket percentage and say, put the other percentage there, end for. Okay, so this allows us to essentially loop through. Now you might see a little bit of an issue here because we have the word count here and we also have it above, so we should give this a different name. Maybe we could call this count total. There we go. But essentially what this does is it loops through, and we could enter in some information. So just to see if this is working, let's just go ahead and print out whatever word is, and then we'll go ahead and do a little line break after that. And let's also go ahead and say we want to know what the count total is. So we'll go ahead and paste that in and also do a line break after that. Okay, so essentially what we're doing is here in views.py, we're passing this word dictionary, which has been turned into a list. And then we're going to say, all right, we're going to loop through each item in this list. The key is going to be called word. The value is going to be called count total. And we're going to print those things out. Well, print, we're having it show up in HTML. But once we have that, let's go ahead and reload the page here. And it is not liking what I have provided. Well, I made a mistake, but I'm going to take this as a learning opportunity. I'm going to feel dumb showing this to you, but hopefully this will help you learn how to use the Django debugger here to figure out what your problem is. So you can see here, it's giving us an error, and it's saying name word dictionary is not defined. And I kept thinking, well, this is because we were passing it a whole dictionary and a whole list, but then we did the for loop, like that shouldn't be an issue, and I just couldn't figure it out. And I was saying name word dictionary is not defined, and I kept thinking, well, in my HTML file here, count.html, I don't use the word dictionary except here when I'm referencing in a for loop. That's totally legal. But if we go back and look at this in some more detail, it says you're having an issue at your views.py in line 12. So it's not my HTML that's the problem, it's my views.py file. So I say, okay, views.py line 12, come back to Atom, go to line 12. when I created the word dictionary variable, I didn't set it equal to anything. I need to set it equal to an empty dictionary. So again, stupid mistake by me. All we need to do here is just say this is equal to empty curly brackets like this. So if we save this, then go ahead and reload the page. Look at that. It's running up no problem. And we can see, woo, all of these words showing up in the count of how many times they show up. So I am kind of interested now, knowing that that was the issue, not before. I kind of want to backtrack here, and let's, for example, see what happens if we go to our count.html. I'm going to delete this temporarily. I'm going to copy this, delete this temporarily, and see what happens if I just print out a list here like word dictionary. Okay, we'll save this, reload the page. Well, it does print it out. I'm going to assume that it will do that too for a dictionary. This is just some curiosity here. This is, remember when I said the way that you learn is kind of by painting outside of the lines and testing things out? This is that in action. So let's try it when we just pass a dictionary, not turning it into a list. And yeah, that works too. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put things back as they were. Let's go ahead and get back all that great text. Excellent. So we now essentially have everything that we want for this website, right? Like it tells us how many words there are, shows the original text, and then we have this awesome word count, but nothing here is in order. Like this is very hard to work with. Like it's like, I'm not really sure what's going on here. And so what we need to do is we need to sort this list that we have, and Python is great for doing this. I love the simplicity of what we have here. So we could do all of this right here, but I think this is becoming kind of messy. And so what I'm going to do is copy this code that we have, cut it out, and before we go ahead and return things, I want to make sure that this is all sorted. So we already went and said .items to convert the dictionary into a list. But then the next thing that we need to do here is we need to sort this. So we're going to surround this in a sorted function, just like this. And to specify what it is that we want sorted, after we provide the list, we're going to say comma. And then the thing that we're looking for is we say we want to search on the key being equal to, and then pass in operator dot item getter in parentheses 1. So this is saying go ahead and look at the count, which if we're going from zero-based counting like 0, 1, it's saying look at the values that are inside of there, okay? And then the next thing that we want to do is say reverse is equal to true. This is saying, you know, what order it is that you want these things to happen in, okay? So this goes ahead and will sort that list for us. In fact, we should maybe assign this to a new variable, something like sorted words. So we'll go ahead and say that. I'm going to do lowercase there. So I'm going to copy the sorted words. I'm going to paste it in like that, and let's change word dictionary to say sorted words. That seems like a more appropriate name. So once we change that, we're going to have to go to our count.html and change this to also be sorted words. So once we have this in place, let's go ahead, reload the page, and oh, we get another error. Let's live fix this if we can't. Views.py line 22 operator is not defined. So let's go ahead and go back here. We have to import the code for the operator. That's what I missed. So lucky for us, it's very simple. All we got to do is up at the top here say import, not in all caps, import operator, just like that. So let's save, reload this page again, and let's see, maybe our server was having some issues. Let's reload. Boom, there we go. And now you can see we have our word count and everything is sorted. Now we're not completely done because this looks pretty ugly. One, I don't like that everything's in bold there. I want to save those H1 tags for sort of the big things. But let's go ahead and go back here. And inside of our count.html, we do have our word count. But then what we want to be doing, that's because I didn't have the ending tag there. There we go. Instead of doing these line breaks, we should have a break after one set of words. But let's do something like word space dash and then the count total. So let's save this, see what it looks like. You can totally tweak this to how you want it to be, but to me, this looks great. So, we have like that equal to 13. Like that's the most common word in the Gettysburg Address. The is the next at 9, and then to at 8, we at 8. And you can just go down, down, down all the way through. And then we've got more of the obscure things here. So you'll notice that this isn't a perfect word counter. For example, what is that? The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th most common word is 2 dashes. Well, dashes aren't really a word. So we could get much more complex with our Python of analyzing this to be an accurate word counter. But I'm going to leave that up to you if you want to get into that. Again, the real purpose here was to show you the basics of Django, how all the information flows. So with this, we have a completed website. I know this has been a long lecture, so thanks for sticking around with me, but we're not done yet. I have one quick challenge for you, because every time we learn something new, I want you to sort of go out on your own for a bit. Again, I think that's where the real learning takes place. So I have a challenge for you. I'll show you the solution to that, and then we'll go ahead and wrap everything up.